Welcome to One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Frickin' Beer. As you can see, I'm in the throes of a 2-game losing streak to the Cardinals. So I have no enthusiasm. I'm joking. Okay. Welcome to One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer, episode 33, as JJ has shown us with his state-of-the-art graphics there.
$50,000 right there.
Wow, that's very good. So I wanted to start off by reminding you to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and you can contact us through onecard1cub1beer@gmail.com. Please subscribe to our page by clicking at the bottom right hand of the screen. I think it's down here somewhere. That's why I usually put an animated arrow on the channels, because things are always backwards. So you can support us through Patreon. Go to patreon.com, look up One Cardinal, One Cup, and One Beer, and you can support this tremendous show. And we have some advertising we're going to be investing in, I guess by June. So we're excited about that. Expanding our audience, which will be a tremendous thing. I probably don't care. I mean,
I care.
Probably don't care, but hey, we care. It's an ego thing for us.
Yeah.
And I do have the game right here to my right, the Cardinal Cub game on silence, which is good because I don't have to listen to Boo Shiambi, who does our play-by-play. And I'm not, we have a 3-man booth tonight. Like I said, you never know what's going to pop up in the Cubs games with Marquee. And Joe Girardi is in the booth. I don't like him in the booth. I'm just
good. No.
Goldschmidt just got a hit with one out. By the way, we are pitching Justin Steele tonight, who has a 1.45 ERA and is 5-0. So if we're going to break this streak, we need a good game by Steele. And so with one out, he just gave up a hit to Goldschmidt.
I'm excited to see this kid. I've heard a lot about him. I've heard you talk about him. I'm excited to see him. I just love good baseball. So this ought to be a pretty good game.
2 pitches, a fastball and a slider. He doesn't throw hard either, but he throws from an arm slot from the left side. The players just have a hard time picking it up. Contreras just flied out to left field. I can't do a play-by-play, man.
You're doing pretty good.
So anyway, JJ, how are you doing? You've got to be doing better than you were last week. You've won 3 in a row now.
Yeah, everything that could go wrong has. It's been a crazy year. Just when you think we're down in the dumps and controversy and the team's in disarray, we win 3 in a row. It's springtime, and I don't know about you, Vince, but I'm a nurse and I work a couple of jobs, and a lot of people have had a lot of sinus problems, a lot of seasonal allergies, and it's been rough. This has been a really rough day for me. Headaches, things like that. We've got a lot of people we're sending out to the emergency room. It's been this spring. It's been rough. Everybody comes out in the morning and you got all that pollen on your car. It's been pretty rough. So I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on with the Cardinals. A lot of 24 guys with seasonal allergies. Maybe that's what's going on. But it's been a crazy week. We had a press conference at the end of last week, and everybody was excited. Oh, this is when Ohtani's coming to St. Louis. Something big's going to happen. Well, we got a patch for our uniform. Stifle has this company, has sponsored the team. Whoopity-doo, we got a sponsor. So that's nice for the Cardinals. I got some extra money that they can tell the fans that they're going to spend, and just seems to disappear or something. But we'll see. We got it. So we got a patch on uniform. We got the Nike patch. We got the Stifle patch now. A lot of transition actions this week. They're just trying to find the right formula. We come off that California trip, the West Coast trip, and we were 2-8. And Detroit was coming to town. Through the week, though, we called up Juan Yepes, and a lot of fans are excited about that. He was the guy that was the last guy sent down in spring training. Been doing very good in the in Memphis in the minors. So it's time for him to come up. And a kid named James Nail. And I like this kid. He's a local kid. His baseball card says Cape Girardeau, but he's from somewhere, a smaller town in that area. maybe even Perryville, but he's from that area. And his family, every time I go to a game and he's on the team, they all show up and they all got their nail shirts on and stuff. So let's see what this kid can do. And we put Tyler O'Neill and Woodford, the pitcher, on the IR. So to make room. So that's why we brought those guys up. We also announced that Joaquin Rodriguez, the other big signing in the winter, had season-ending surgery. This kid was playing down in the Mexico League, did fantastic in the spring. Was really looking forward to seeing him, but he got hurt. And anyway, we'll see him next year, and I hope he recovers and makes a speedy recovery, because he was looking very good this spring. Wayno's back, and he's the leader of the team.
He's back and making noise.
Yes, he's making noise. I think there's three kind of leaders on your team. You got your intense, fiery players, and that's like Arenado and Contreras. And I'll talk more about Contreras in a minute. I love Contreras. I'm so glad he's a part of our team. And I think most Cardinal fans agree. We're glad he's here. And I'm glad it's him and no one else. And you got the fiery guys. Well, then you also have the guys that are like the stoic guys, the guys that no matter what's going on, that it's even kill. And that's your Goldschmidt. I can't tell if Goldschmidt hit a home run or he grounded out to second. He's even killed the whole way. And I think Wayno's like that too. No matter what's going on, Wayno, he'll give you his best. And then you got your rah-rah guys. And that's like Lars New. Yeah, Vincent's the rah-rah guy on this show. But Lars Newbar is that kind of leader. And I believe Donovan is too. He goes wherever they ask him to play, and he gives you top quality play wherever position he goes to. So anyway, those are the type of guys, and I'm so glad Wayno's back. The Cardinals sent down Taylor Motter, and we've had a lot of head-scratching moves this year and things happening. And Taylor Motter was one of them. A nice kid. He played good in the spring, but they called him up. They brought him up on the team, and they didn't even use him. And we could have used a pitcher or something in that spot. So nothing against Taylor Motter, but we didn't use him, and they sent him for assignment. So I believe that means they kind of let him go, doesn't it? If you just let him go for assignment. Yeah, I hope he finds a team and has a nice career. The Cardinals have been missing on a lot of our young players. You ever look around the league, Bader has come back to the Yankees and light it on fire. Sandy Alcantara, Zach Gallen, I could go on and on. Rosarina. So I hope he goes somewhere. But we brought up another catcher, Trace Berra, and his wife had just had a child. They had a new baby, and he got called up. It's a good story. He's our third catcher, or I guess our second catcher now. And I'll get to that in a minute. And Jojo Romero, a bullpen pitcher, was sent to the minors, and we brought Palante back up. So that's kind of the team right now. But everyone's talking about this controversy with Willson Contreras, where it came out that they're going to take him out of the catching spot and use him as a DH and an outfielder, possibly a backup first baseman. I'm happy to have his bat in the team. I think he does a good job catching. He blocks balls good. He's good at throwing the ball if somebody's trying to steal or pick him off first. His bat has been great. Some of the things I just kind of noticed about that is, first of all, it's tough to follow a legend. And Yadier Molina is one of the most popular players in Cardinal history. And I remember when Albert Pujols was here and he left, and it really broke our hearts when he left. But Matt Holliday was the big free agent we signed. And I would hear the fans get on Matt Holliday. Yes, he was no Albert Pujols, but he was a very, very good player. And I just kind of hate to see a very, very good player get treated like that. I don't think all the Cardinal, first of all, the Cardinal fans, I think, are fine with him, the majority of us. And I think his teammates are fine with him, the majority of the teammates. I think it's our management and the media. I've heard the media making all kinds of speculations about the Cardinals and Contreras. And on one of the stations, ESPN radio, they had Brett Osmus come on, and I think they wanted Osmus to agree with them. But Osmus was saying, no, you know what? If you got a player and something's going on, and the fans aren't dumb, they're going to know he's not catching. You put it out there in the open. I don't know if I would have handled it like that. I think the Cardinals should handle a lot of things in-house, and a lot of things are getting out, and the media's kind of running with it. As a fan, I love Contreras, and I think he's going to be catching sooner than later. I'm glad Wayno's back. They had a meeting, and he talked how happy he is to have him here, and we love you. That's Wayno. Wayno's the kind of guy who puts his arm around you and tells you he loves you. Most guys, a lot of guys can't do that, but Wayno's just that kind of guy. He's a super nice guy. Vince, I don't know how you feel about this, but we've had so many controversies this year, and here's some of them. This is just some of them this year that's went through. I got a list of them here. In the spring training, Ollie got into it with the ump and wouldn't shake his hand. I don't know if it's the ump not shaking Ollie's hand or Ollie not shaking his hand, but when you're a manager, you got to put stuff like that. That's small stuff. You got to go out there and be the face of the team, and be a sturdy person, and not at a moment you can go out there and argue and make your point, but that was odd. Then we had the O'Neal controversy where he goes to the media and said he wasn't hustling. On that particular play, I think he didn't get a good jump, but O'Neal's been known as a hard worker, and I don't see how that can be any kind of positivity at all right there. Jordan Walker, he was doing fine. They want him to go down there and work. They probably shouldn't have brought him up in the first place then, if that's how they were feeling. They had all spring training.
They lost the year of service time by bringing him up. If you're going to send him down within a few weeks, that was from a business perspective, that was boneheaded.
I agree. I agree, and I wish he was here. We do have too many players. We knew that in the wintertime, though, and you can't play them all. So
I think with the Cardinals, when they traded a Rosarena, they kind of got gun shy with their prospects. Like, gosh, what if we trade this guy and he becomes something great? And so now they've got this collection of players who are not, there's some talent there, but you're not going to figure out how good they are because there's too many there for everybody to get enough at bats. So it's, if I was management, I would have in spring training made a trade with a couple of these pieces and brought a player back who I thought could help us somewhere, maybe in the pitching staff or somewhere. But yeah, they seem to be just gun shy on making any kind of a trade with their prospects because look at a Rosarena. We don't want that to happen again.
No. Now, Livator was the piece, and I still think that's remains to be seen. Right now, it looks like a one-sided deal, but Livator's had a very good year this year, and maybe one day he'll be a big part of this team. But right now, Rosarena's on the best team in baseball and tearing it up. So, oh man! But things like that, that's baseball.
Let me jump in on Contreras because I've watched him since 2016. He's a terrible pitch framer. And one of the things that the Cubs always talked about is when we get to robotic umpiring for balls and strikes, that's going out the window. Pitchers do not like throwing to a guy who does not frame well because you're going to lose maybe 4 or 5 strikes a game because in pitch framing is like this. Let's say the edge of Fergie Jenkins is, that's the batter's box. I'm a catcher. I catch the ball here, but you frame it, kind of turn your hand or something to get it in the strike zone to fool the umpire. What Contreras does, he doesn't frame well. If the ball's out here, he might catch it and the hand goes out there. So pitchers don't like throwing to a person like that. With the Cardinal staff is a lot like the Cubs staff. There's no Verlander, there's no Alcantara, there's nobody here that is going to strike out 12 batters per 9 innings. It's just not like that. So every out is precious, every strike is precious, every pitch is precious. So last year, we had started weaning Contreras off catching quite a bit with the DH. And he was DHing, and Yan Gomes was doing a lot of our catching. We are doing much better with a defense-first catcher. Now, from the Cardinals' perspective, I don't work for the Cubs. I don't have any special intel. The Cardinals knew he was a terrible pitch framer. They knew that. They knew that his reputation is that pitchers don't like pitching to him because of that. Nothing personal. And another thing, there is the rumor that he likes to go off script as far as the game plan with the pitchers. I don't know if that's true, but what I can see with my eyes is he's a terrible pitch framers, and pitchers get a little frustrated when they have to throw to that. The Cardinals, since Daryl Porter, Tony Pena, Mike LaValliere, Tom Nieto, Mike Matheny, Yadier Molina, for 40 years, they have had defensive first catchers.
Pagnazzi.
Pagnazzi, yeah. When the Cardinals made this signing, I didn't get on here and say this is a stupid signing by the Cardinals. Why would? Because I don't want to look like that Cub fan that is just ragging on the Cardinals. You know, it was a head scratcher. Max and I've talked about, other Cub fans talk about on the boards. It was a head scratcher. Why would they go for an offensive catcher when the Cardinals have a pretty good offense to begin with? Why not get a defensive catcher to handle that pitching staff that's not going to be blowing the ball by people? It didn't make a whole lot of sense. I think some of the motivation to sign him was that he was a Cub. Now, is he worth the contract? I think his bat is. I think you throw him in left field or DH or back up first, just rotate, have him catch a couple games a week with a pitcher that's more comfortable with him. He's definitely worth that contract, but he's an offensive catcher. You had Yachty and his ilk for 40 years, but what you went with in free agency was Ted Simmons, because Simmons was not a good defensive catcher. He was an offensive catcher. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it just seemed like a little bit of a head scratcher when it happened. Why did they get an offensive catcher when they've had this rich history for the past 40 years, when they've had this great success of defense first catchers? Now, my dad texted me, it's like, did the Cardinals, were they the only team in Major League Baseball who didn't know that he couldn't pitch frame? Because suddenly they're acting like, oh my goodness, this guy's terrible with the pitching staff. That is another head scratcher for the Cardinals that goes along with the O'Neill thing, calling him out to the press, sending Jordan Walker down when he didn't deserve a demotion.
No. Zach Thompson, one of our best relievers.
There's just some things I'm like, what are they doing? And people may think I want the Cardinals to finish in last every year. I don't want that. I want the Cubs to win the World Series every year. Whatever the Cardinals do, that's fine. Okay. If they finish in second place and we beat them in the playoffs, okay, that's great with me. I just want the Cubs to win the World Series every year. And I think that most Cardinal fans will side with the players in something like this. They haven't had to make this choice over the past 40 years with La Russa and Ori, whatever. But in this instance, they are definitely siding with the player. And I don't blame the Cardinal fans, because management is just being different than it ever has been in St. Louis. So that's my 2 cents, but I gave you the $10 version of my 2 cents. There you go.
Vince, thank you.
I want to say this. Contreras, he's an emotional guy, but he will not take this on the field. That is not him. When he's between the lines, he's all business and he's going to give 100%. So you're not going to see him dogging it because, oh gosh, I'm not catching. That's just not what he's built like. He is. Now, if it comes time, contracts in, the Cardinals want to re-sign him, he'll probably remember this, but he's going to play his heart out for the rest of this contract and be what he is. And he's been in the league since 2016. He is what he is now. He's not suddenly going to become a great pitch framer. that he is who he is. So I don't know why they're saying, well, he may start getting back into the catching role. Why are you sending him to pitch framing school? It's a skill. I so anyway,
You've been very kind, Vince, and I
proceed.
appreciate. I appreciate your kind words and your input. You said that in the wintertime. You said that exact same thing back in the wintertime. So it's not a surprise. I think we just have a young team. The Cardinals are actually a very young team, and they strike out too much. They don't walk enough, and there's a lot of holes in that lineup. There's a lot of prospects. I think a lot of them are going to be very, very good. But right now, I think we got him to go with Goldie and Arenado and have like a core right there. That's the middle, the strength of our lineup. We've been
Well,
making some odd choices. Oh, go ahead, Vince. I'm sorry.
I was going to say the rumor is that I've heard that a couple of the pitchers approach management that they don't like throwing to him, and I get that. However, this should have been something once again that I felt like should have been handled in house.
Exactly.
To just make the announcement, this isn't our catcher anymore. Just a few months after signing him to this $90 million contract, it's like it's
It's a
a
head
head
scratcher.
scratcher.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when he came in that day, I don't think he knew this other catcher had been called up. So it's like, what's going on here? And I don't know. Like anytime the Packers would make a move, I think they talk to Aaron Rodgers. I think in the NFL, that's how they do it. I don't think Major League Baseball does that. The owners or the management does what they want to do, and you just adjust to it. But it's been kind of weird with the Cardinals ever since we had Mike Schilt, and I thought Mike Schilt did a great job. He was a good baseball man,
I
and
can't believe he's still not managing.
I can't either. He won 17. We won 17 games in a row. There must have been some kind of philosophy difference, but it must have been a big one because they got rid of him, and he did nothing but win and make the playoffs every year. And the Cardinals' defense is we were best defensive team 2 years in a row, and this year we're in the middle. And the best defensive team in baseball is the San Diego Padres, and Mike Schilt is the third base coach on the San Diego Padres. So, Mike Schilt, we love you. I don't know what happened, but ever since then, it's been real peculiar things going on. Let's see. I wrote some notes down. Anyway, you said it. Somebody in management must be leaking this information to the media about the certain players, Flaherty, and a few of them coming in and prefer not to pitch to him. How because I know they're not having press conferences discussing this or after the game or anything. So the media is kind of running with it a little bit. I think between the team and the fans, I mean, some fans get upset if you give them $100 bill, they'd want $110. But for the most of us, we're going to be okay. And losing didn't help things. I think people started panicking and everything, blaming. They want to have somebody to blame, and we were just playing terrible baseball in all aspects of the game. So that brings me to this week's games, Vince. Let's get to happier things. We were playing on Thursday. We had our last game against the Angels, and they beat us 11-7. And Jack Flaherty had another terrible game. He only went 2 1/3, 10 earned runs, 3 Ks and 1 walk, and his ERA is 6.29. And I'll get to him a little bit later. They asked him a question last night after a Cardinal win, and he kind of made everything about himself. Cardinal fans have been kind of 50-50 on Jack. He's a very talented player. Sometimes I think he likes to go on about and he's free to his political beliefs or certain things. He's made note that he probably wasn't going to resign with St. Louis, and that's not really a good way to win over the fan base. It's making hints that you can't wait to get out of this town. So Jack Flaherty, I love watching him pitch. I don't like, that's about it. And I wish him all the best. We need him to be the ace of the team, but he hasn't pitched very good. We were losing 11-2, and the Cardinals did come back and lose the game 11-7. Now, that's not much to hang your hat on, but I like the teams fighting. with the team's doing so bad, you could just sit there, we're down 11-2, just kind of mail it in. But they kept playing hard. Our defense had 3 double plays. We did make an error. Tommy Edmond made an error, and Tommy Edmond hasn't been playing quite as much here lately. And I agree. You got to play your best team out there. And I love Tommy Edmond as a player. Anyway, Goldie went 2 for 5. He got his 12th double. He's hitting 300. Tommy Edmond is hitting, though. He went 2 for 4, hit his 5th home run. He got the 3 RBIs. And Contreras went 2 for 4, and he's just been hitting the daylights out of the ball. And our bullpen went 6 2/3 and did not give up an earned run. So that's pretty good. And we ended that road trip at 2-8, and it was just glad to come home to St. Louis. And we got the Detroit Tigers. Now, I tell you what, I like the Tigers. They're a team about on our level. I wanted to see what we're made of, and the sad things kept happening. With the Tigers, though, I wanted to see Miguel Cabrera. What a great player. He's on his last hurrah. He's making his farewell tour. Javi Baez, the Cub older player, he's on that team. A kid named Adu, Spencer Torkelson, and Matthew Boyd. So they got some good players I really wanted to see. And so we're back in town. We're 10-22. It's Boyd versus Montgomery. A very good game. Montgomery and Boyd both had quality starts. And the Tigers ended up winning 5-4. Kisner did hit a home run. And it may be Kisner playing because he hit every level of minor leagues he hit. He just hasn't hit in the pros. So maybe if he gets to play some, he'll hit better because he's only like a 210 hitter. And I'll get to him at the end of this. I'll kind of go what he's doing because he has picked up his hitting and his defense has been very good. And the pitchers seem to be fine. Or nothing's got leaked to the media. Let me put it that way. In that game, Goldie got 3 more hits. Arenado, who's been, I think he's just pushing too hard. He's a great player to have, and he's just only hitting about 250. He did get 2 hits in that game. He's hitting 242 after that game. And Newbar got 2 hits. And Newbar's been a very good player for this year. I love his enthusiasm. But we lose 5-4, and we start out the series again with a loss. We have lost 11 home openers this year. And wow. I looked this up, and the last team to have 11 or more home open losses was the 1981 Kansas City Royals, who lost 13 series openers. So 0-11 on that, and that's a record I do not want to break. And and that game, we had lost our 7th straight game, and we're 5-2 at home, and 3-14 in our last 17 games. God, man, that's just. Maybe we'll go as the first round draft choice. Maybe we'll get the number 1 guy in the draft or something after this. So anyway, let's see. Oh, and so the next game, Marmol and McEwen get tossed for arguing balls and strikes. Saturday's game was a 10-inning game, a 6-5 game, and the Skid hits 8 straight games. Waino pitched, and you know what? He looked really good. He had 1 bad inning, and everything just kind of got out of control after that 1 inning. He went 5 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned runs, and 5 strikeouts. And Gallegos took the loss. And Gallegos has been hit and miss this year. He's 1-2 at this point. And there's times in the bullpen he looks like a closer. And Helsley's had some games like that too. So I don't know. They've both been maybe 2 good outings, 1 bad outing kind of thing. So Gallegos lost that game. Home runs by Arenado, 2 RBIs. Arenado might be heating up a little bit. Carlson got a home run with 3 RBIs. And Paul DeYoung was 0 for 3, but he's hitting .333, and he got 2 walks and a strikeout, which is great because DeYoung the last 2 or 3 years has been striking out a lot. It seems like he starts every at bat 0-2. So he is walking. His approach looks better, and his at bats are better. But anyway, that's another loss. I could go on and on about that. There was a play of the game. Newbar took the game to extra innings. There was a ball hit down the right field line. Newbar comes on a dead sprint, catches the ball in foul territory, plants 1 foot, and throws a bullet to home plate and gets the runner by before he goes into his slide. So that was a really good to see. And Newbar's been playing good defense hitting, and you wouldn't know we're a losing team with the way that guy's out there playing and busting his butt every day. So Sunday, we're 10-24. We're 10 games out. But this game's the Paul Goldschmidt game. Yes, it was a team effort, but Paul Goldschmidt came up big in this one. It's Mats versus a guy named Frito. and the Cardinals jump out to a 3-0 lead. We go back and forth, and then they score a run in the fourth, and they get 5 runs in the sixth. And you're thinking, here we go again. The Cardinals always seem to find a way to lose. But in the bottom of the sixth, we score 7 runs, and there was a moment in that inning where we had a man on first who reached an error, and Contreras comes up, and he had a 13-pitch at bat, and he was down 0-2, and he battled and battled and battled and got it up to 3-2. He did finally strike out, but 13-pitch at bat, and it seemed like right after that, the floodgates opened, and we scored 7 runs in that inning, and Contreras was a big reason. That when you take a pitcher to 9 or more pitches in a bat, I mean, that's a 10th of his pitches for the whole game. So he got in there and just battled. They'd come in on him and he'd foul it off his fist. I love that. That's good classic baseball stuff right there. So I'm giving Contreras a lot of love on that one. But our bullpen was with 4 2/3, no runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Let's see. Wait a minute. The Sunday game. Here we go. Goldie went 4 for 5 with 4 RBIs. That was his 20th RBI, 3 home runs, and he had a stolen base, his 4th of the year, and he's up to 321. Donovan 2 for 3, and Kisner 2 for 4. And we break the losing streak. Oh, that felt pretty good. And we're 11-24 and still 10 games out. But we got to win. Maybe something good's going to come up. And now we got the Cubs. We go out to Chicago. I love Wrigley Field. The vines aren't green yet and really plush, but you can tell they're starting to form up there. In summer, everything's going to be looking good. It was a bad night. It was rainy and the wind was blowing in. You would have to crash a home run to get it out of there that night. Let's see. It was Michaelis versus Stroman. And when Contreras came up, I give the Cubs a lot of credit. The catcher went out in front of the base, kind of stalled for time. Contreras could wave to the fans, all that good stuff. I just love that in baseball. Let's see. It was 1-1. We had 1 run. You had run through 5 innings. And the Cardinals score 1 in the 6th and 1 in the 8th, and we win the game 3-1. We had 6 hits. The Cubs had 8. Really, that was a Contreras game. He was involved in every single run, either knocking the run in or scoring the run. There was a play where Wisdom looked like he didn't quite make up his mind if he wanted to come home or go to second for the double play, and Contreras legged out the double play and the run scored and making it 3-1. And we needed all the insurance runs we could that night. And the bullpen again comes through. Cabrera, Hicks, and Helsley go 4 2/3, no runs, and 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. And you guys have Nico Horner. It looked like he might have got hurt running between second and third.
Yeah, he's tweaked a hammy. He's not in there again tonight. They said he had spikes on last night, so I guess he's available. They haven't IL'd him.
So day-to-day.
Day-to-day thing. Once again, Madrigal's at second tonight. So
Arenado was out with neck stiffness in that game, and Nolan Gorman, who is actually a third baseman, played that day and did a very, very good job. So anyway, we won that game, and we've won 2 in a row. And so then, Vince, we're going to Tuesday. I don't want to go too long because I know you're going to talk about these games too. But
I have nothing to say about Monday's game, but I'll jump in here on Tuesday's game.
The Tuesday game, I want to say something. I love watching the Cubs. They're very enthusiastic. I haven't seen them this it almost looks like a college team. Man, they're out there cheering each other on. They're hustling. There's just an air of excitement to your team, and I really enjoy watching them play. I want to get tonight. I just want to get this win and get the heck out of there before they start getting hot again. But anyway, both games I think have been very competitive. I may not say that if we had come up on the losing end. It was Flaherty versus Talion, and both pitchers, have had some more downs than ups this year. Talion was gone after 2 2/3. Flaherty did go 5 innings, and his ERA is 6.18. I just don't know. He's lost, and he can't blame this one on Contreras.
Well, concerning Talion, it's the second start after being disabled. He was on a 65 pitch count.
I think he's a good
And
one.
I liked what some of his pitches looked like. The command wasn't there though. 2 walks with the bases loaded, which is something that drives me nuts. I'd rather see a grand slam. Go out and challenge someone. Don't throw a breaking ball off the plate on a, load the bases. But anyway, but concerning Flaherty, this is the first time I've seen Flaherty, and it seems like since about 1974. Geez, there's nothing on the ball. I mean, I kind of feel sorry for the guy because you can tell that the injuries have definitely changed him from a dominant pitcher to a very below average pitcher. So I thought maybe, because like the first outing, he had a no hitter, but he walked like 7 people. I thought, well, the stuff's got to be there. But watching the stuff, it was like, wow. He resembled absolutely nothing like he did in his heyday. So I kind of feel bad for the guy. Anyway, proceed.
Well, sometimes when those fireballers lose some speed off their fastball, they never really learn to pitch. Tim Lincecum comes to mind. He used to throw the ball past people, but then when its velocity started coming down, they just hit him. Adam Wainwright used to be a fireballer, and he learned to pitch, moving in and out, up and down, curveball in there. So I hope he finds his stuff. This is the end of his contract. This was the year I truly believe he thought he was going to make the Grom money or something, but he's probably going to have to sign a 1-year deal somewhere.
Oh yeah, he's gonna have to sign a pillow contract somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it will probably be for 3 to 5 million somewhere there. And this was a guy who a few years ago you thought would be 15 to 20 million a year when he hits free agency.
Well, talk about good moves. We didn't do one of those contracts where we pay him like for his, earlier years or anything like that. And I'm not laughing at him or anything. I hope he finds himself, comes back next year. And he's been a big part of St. Louis. And I mean, he's done so much. He's had some good stretches for us. But in that game, the Cubs and the Cardinals, both teams could have won this game. But the Cubs, like you said, we've talked earlier, they went 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. They hit into a ton of double plays.
4 double plays, and then you walk 2 runs in. Yeah.
They had Flaherty on the ropes. They had us on the ropes. And we get a double play and get out of it and stayed in the game. And then we had enough power. We got some home runs from DeYoung. And I'm so happy for him. He's struggled for the last 2 years. Looks like I'm not counting my chickens or anything, but looks like he's doing much better, much better. Nolan Gorman, I believe it was just his 23rd birthday today, and he's got 8 home runs, and he's just coming on. And Newt Bar, the pepper grinder himself, he hit a home run. And Kisner is now up to 250. If he can hit 240, I'll be happy. He was a 210, 200 hitter. If he can hit 250 and catch like he's catching, I'll be happy. And Carlson had 1 hit, and he's hitting 281. And Carlson, in some people's eyes, I think they wanted him to be a lot better player coming right out. He's been a little slow to progress, but he's hitting 281 right now. And our bullpen, again, did a okay job. They held the fort. And we Gallegos got a 2nd save, and now we have won 3 in a row, our longest winning streak of the year. And we're 8 games out. And if whoever wins tonight can move up a game, so if the Cardinals could possibly win tonight, I'm not saying we're going to, we could be 7 games out after this disastrous beginning. So Vince, that's my take on Cardinals and some of the controversies and some of our transactions so far this week.
Well, I'll give an update. I don't know why I'm giving an update because everybody's going to know what happened by the time they see this, but it's 2-0 Cardinals right now. Arenado drove in Goldschmidt in the first, and here in the third, Contreras just drove in Kinsner. So 2-0. And the Cubs have once again loaded the bases and did not score. So we had the bases loaded twice last night and once today. We just cannot get the big hit right now. But anyway, let me start with Cub news. As far as transactions go, on Thursday, Taillon came off the injured list, and Estrada was sent down. And the next day on Friday, you'll notice we're not doing a Mervis Hosseini segment because Mervis was called up. And instead of DFAing Hosmer, which is what I wish they would do, we sent Rios down. But why not? Rios, we wasn't letting him play much anyway.
He looks like a good player, Vince. He looks pretty good.
And then on Monday, late Monday, he played yesterday, actually had a home run yesterday. We called up Christopher Morel, who is just raking in AAA, and we sent Nelson Velasquez down. So we've got Mervis and Morel up, which makes me happy. I thought both of them should have came north, but they didn't. So we've had a rough week. We've went 2-4. We had, and we're still in this stretch. The first third of the season is very tough. We've played very competitive. And then we got to Washington, and yeah, you can see we're hitting our first real funk of the season. We played Thursday or Wednesday when we were having our podcast against the Nationals. We lost 2-1. Suzuki drove in a run. Stroman pitched good, 6 innings, only gave up 1 run. Alzolay gave up a run and got the loss. So then Thursday, day game against Washington, we lost 4-3, and Boxberger got the loss. So we leave Washington 1-2, and then we come home and we play the Marlins. And I don't look at the Marlins as, oh my gosh, this is a terrible team. This is a pretty good team. I like the way they've constructed this team. It's built on speed, and I think they're really heading in the right direction. They're not going to make the playoffs this year because of the division they're in, but I think they could flirt with 500. But anyway, we opened up the series against Miami, and remember last week we got swept by Miami in Miami. We opened up the series, and we won 4-1. Hap hit a home run. Justin Steele, who's pitching tonight for us, he pitched 7 innings, gave up 1 earned run, and he went to 5-0 with a 1.45 ERA. Then on Saturday, we beat the Marlins again, 4-2. Horner had a couple of hits. Madrigal had a 2-run double in the 8th inning as we scored 3 to win the game. And Smiley started and did not pitch very well, but Keegan Thompson came in, pitched 3 strong innings, and he got the win. So very, very happy that we took the first 2 from the Marlins. And then Sunday's game is one of these games that I don't like. We played the Marlins on Sunday, and we went 14 innings, which you usually don't go 14 innings nowadays with the runner on. But every time they would score, we would score. And basically, Wisniewski pitched great. He pitched 6 innings, only gave up a run. And Boxberger gave up a run in the 8th. And we were actually losing 2-0 going into the 9th. We scored 2 runs in the 9th, and we had all the momentum, but we just could not outscore them. And we lost 5-4. And then Monday we lost. Tuesday we lost. So that's what's happened with the Cubs this week. When the Cubs played the Cardinals, JJ did a thorough job talking about how they took us to the woodshed both nights. And
it was close games. It was good battles. I mean, I don't know which team was better. It was which team wasn't quite as good as the other team. That's kind of how it was. We both had chances, and last man standing, and we got it there. That was I enjoyed the games. Baseball's ups and downs. It seems like if you win, you can't wait for tomorrow. If you're losing every day, you're like, oh no, not again, another one today.
Well, this series is a good gauge for the Cubs because despite the terrible record of the Cardinals, I still think they're the best team in the division. They may not win it because they went into such a tailspin, but the saving grace is that the Pirates quit winning, the Brewers quit winning, we quit winning. Nobody in the division was winning. So even though the Cardinals fell 10 games back, it's could have been a lot worse. So
Yeah.
I think what this is showing us is we do need um, we don't quite match up well with the Cardinals yet. And case in point, um, Cardinals are getting people in scoring position, and they will, try to hit the ball to right field. We got players who did that at the beginning of the year, and now we've kind of like too much free swinging. We need a little more discipline, and that will come as we mature in age and so on and so forth. Um, and last night's game was just kind of odd. Tyone, he's one of the best control pitchers in baseball. His second start off the DL, he just didn't have the command. But I'm still pleased with where we are. I still think that when we hit the last 2/3 of the season, when our schedule gets much, I shouldn't say easier, but much more friendly, then if we're going to make a run at a playoff spot, we could do that. But we need to finish this third and not fall too many games behind. The Cardinals got a lot of firepower and a lot of experience. If any team can come back from a 10-game deficit at the beginning of May, it's the Cardinals. They can hop over teams. I still think that they're the class of the division, so I have no problem with that. We're just not there. We have to play perfect baseball for us to beat the good teams. And that's what we did for a couple weeks stretch when we were beating the Dodgers and the Padres and the Mariners and the Rangers, and we're looking good. But
Those are
now
good teams.
now we've kind of come to earth a little bit. So,
But Vince, we were a good hitting team. We're one of the top 5 hitting teams. We just didn't score. We get people in scoring position, third base, nobody out. We couldn't get them in. And now it seems like momentum and things have sort of changed a little for us. And that's just baseball. Sometimes you just go through stretches where you can't get the little things done and stuff. So
well, we're facing in the next week and a half, we're facing the same thing that you did. You had your only 3-team long road trip. We will have our only one, and I think it starts next week. And so those are hard. Be on the road
they are.
long and get some consistency going. And then you came home and played the Tigers, and immediately you had to go to Wrigley. So it's not easy for you.
No, we need a long home stretch.
Hey, do you want to talk about the best stories in baseball for the
Vince,
month of April?
I think that's a great idea. Yeah. You want to go back and forth? I'll do one, you do one?
Well, how many do you have? I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I have 8 things I want to bring up.
I have 7. So
Okay.
you go first, so we'll start with you and end with you. How's that?
Okay. I think the top story in baseball in the National League, I'm going to do the National League, and JJ will do the junior circuit. Is the Cardinals or the Cardinals? The Pirates were 20-9 in the month of April.
Got to give it to them.
March, April, a couple games in March. Um, Nobody saw that coming. I didn't see it coming. Did you see it coming?
No.
No. Did Jesus see it coming? Jesus
No.
said, "Oh, I didn't see it coming." So
Surprise,
nobody saw
surprise.
this coming. Almost as surprising is Arizona, which lost like 175 games last year. Uh, they finished April tied for first with the Dodgers with a 16-13 record. So I thought it was a very exciting month of April to watch some of these teams get out of the blocks good that we wasn't expecting. I throw the Tigers in there. They got out much better than most people anticipated. The Angels came out good, and the Marlins have come out good, and that's why I try to watch a couple of games. I don't always watch whole games, but I try to watch every team at least a couple of times during the year, and I try to do a lot of that at the beginning of the year because I want to see not just read the box. I want how does the eye test look? And that's why I'm saying when I've seen the Marlins, I think 5 of the 6 games, the eye test is this team is good the way they've constructed it. So that's my first top story. The top story in the National League are the teams that got out good that were big surprises.
Well, in the American League, the first story that really caught my eye was the Oakland A's moving to Las Vegas. We talked about that probably 2 or 3 times, 2 or 3 episodes about I don't know what's going on there. And you talked about going out there, the stadium's falling apart. They got possums in the walls. They've tried to work with the city for 20 years. They bought some land in Las Vegas, and I feel bad for the fans of Oakland. They've lost their basketball team. They've lost the Raiders. But the Raiders moved a lot anyway. They just pack up and leave every once in a
They
while.
lost the Raiders. They got them back. They lost.
That's right. But the Oakland team, I know they wanted to get a new stadium, and for whatever reason, usually if a team is just making noise and just trying to get out of town. I remember Houston Oilers one time they had a big press conference and they said, look, the fans didn't show up. Well, they didn't announce it. The fans didn't even know. There was only like 20 people there. They wanted to make it look like they didn't have any support. So they ended up leaving. But Oakland, I tell you what, as bad as they've been, they do have some loyal fans that show up. Not a whole lot. They're small but mighty. But I hate when a team leaves. In my lifetime, we had the Montreal Expos leave and become the Washington Nationals. And the Expos, they had a lot of support up there. They just had a bad stadium, and I wish that could have worked out, but they did everything they could, and it just didn't work out. And now Oakland, same thing. And the politicians out there said, hey, they ran off on us, but they had plenty of time to work something out with them, and it didn't get worked out for whatever reason. And I tell you what, Oakland or the Athletics have been a team that's been on the move. I mean, it's only been 4 times in 120 years, but they were the Philadelphia A's from 1901 to 1954. Connie Mack, the great Connie Mack owner / manager there. Then they were out in Kansas City, 55 to 67, and then they moved out to Oakland in 68 to 2023. And Charlie O'Finley was the owner also in Kansas City. He's the one that moved them out to Oakland. So now it looks like they're going to go out to Las Vegas. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a good could be a very good baseball city. It'll be better than Oakland has been in the last few years. And that's my first story. Good for the A's, and I hope they keep the colors and the traditions and all that, and really pay respect to the past. That's what I like about baseball.
Yeah. Big update here. The Cardinals loaded the bases in the top of the third and couldn't score, and we have scored 3 in the third, highlighted by a 2-run home run by Patrick Wisdom against his former organization. So we're up 3-2 right now. A lot of baseball left. Okay, I hate to bring this up, but the second biggest story is the Cardinals record in April, 10-19. Nobody saw that coming. Although maybe we should have had a premonition that things were going awry with the O'Neill thing and with the Jordan Walker thing.
Oh, what? Yeah, Walker.
But my problem is I have a hard time watching Cardinal games. How am I watching the game now? Because I went ahead and got a VPN, and my computer thinks that I'm located, or they think I'm in Copenhagen or somewhere. But anyway, so this is the first time I've been able to watch the Cardinals was last night, and 10-19 with all that talent, it was reminiscent of it's not the same thing. Do you remember in '88 when the Orioles started off like 0-22?
Yes, they fired Cal Ripken Sr.
Yeah, and that was not a wretched team. They had Cal Ripken Jr. Actually, who else did they have? They had players. They had enough players that the next year they almost made the playoffs. They almost won that division. They were in it till the last week. It was just a freak thing that they couldn't win getting out of the blocks, and it's reminiscent. The Cardinals month of April kind of reminds me of that. It's just an anomaly. There's too much talent for this team to be that far under 500 at any point. But the good thing is they're that far under 500 after April, and they've got plenty of time to make up for it in a weak division. So I think that's my second greatest story. And proceed.
All right.
I'm really
Well,
excited about my third favorite story.
oh, okay. Yeah. Well, my second one is the Tampa Bay Rays. They're 27-7 at the time, looking good. They're 18-3 at home and 9-4 away. So they've had a lot of home games. They got a 5-game lead over the Baltimore Orioles, which is kind of a surprise. But not that Baltimore's not a good team, but that where's the Red Sox? Where's the Yankees? They're fourth and fifth.
The Yankees are in the basement.
I was going to talk about them in a minute, but yeah, they're so happy. They talk so much smack. They're number one in hitting and number one in pitching. They got the number one batting average in the American League. Home runs number one, stolen bases number two with 32. Their ERA, their WHIP, and the lowest amount of home runs in the American League. They're number one in every category. Fielding, they're number 7. Houston Astros are number 1 in fielding. Just something else. They've got Wandy Franco playing great. A kid, Shane McClanahan, who I think I mentioned once before, but he's 6-0, and with a 2.03 ERA. He's got he's just doing really good. Kevin Cash has to be applauded. He's been over there since 2015. And since 2018, they've been one of the best teams in the American League, if not the best team in the American League record-wise at the end of the year. Very good team. I always compare, in my lifetime, the best team I ever seen play was, as far as winning and just annihilating everybody, was the 84 Detroit Tigers. And at the end of April, Tampa Bay's only 2 games behind them at the pace they're on. So look out. Tampa Bay looks like they're for real. Thing is, I love them because they didn't go out and get all the free agents. They made trades. They brought guys up out of the minors, and they're strong in every aspect of the game. So if you get a chance, watch them. I've only seen 1 game they played this year, but they're exciting to watch. And that's my second story.
I hope they finally win the World Series this year.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, they need a new field. They absolutely do. I was reading one guy who said that he went to his first Rays game last week, and he left in the 3rd inning, went to his hotel and watched the rest of the game on TV because it was such a bad experience to watch. And I watched games in the Metrodome in Minnesota, and that was a weird experience. So I kind of get where he's coming from. And you've watched games in the Kingdome, which
yeah,
the same drabness to it. So,
I don't know if you heard today, but Orlando is building a multi-sport facility, and they're trying to lure an expansion team to Orlando, and maybe Tampa Bay could go up there and still be the Florida Rays or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
My third story is Luis Arise, who in April hit 427, and he's still well above 400. I think last time I saw he was flirting with 430. I saw him because we've had 2 series against the Marlins, and we can't get him out. We always thought that like Schwarber's going to benefit the most in the league from the shift ban, whatever. No, this guy has benefited because he can spray the ball wherever he wants, and so being everybody's not bunched up on one side or another, there are just so many holes that he can find. He is a Tony Gwynn. That's what he is. He's not going to hit a lot of home runs, but man, he's going to put the ball in play, line drives, one hoppers in the infield, going through the hole. Just a lot of fun to watch. Just kind of like takes me back to whenever I was growing up. Those great contact hitters who had enough bat control they could just hit the holes. Tony Gwynn, Pete Rose, people like that. And I watched him a couple times last year when I watched a Twins game, and he won the batting title, but he only hit like 316 for the Twins, won the batting title. What I see now, I don't think he's going to hit 400, but boy, I think he's got a chance to hit north of 350. And he's a fun player to watch. You can tell he just loves to play the game. So too bad nobody in Miami is watching him because he is a special player.
I discovered him personally at the All-Star game last year. He was over there when Albert was in the home run derby, and it was a lot of the Hispanic players, and they were rooting Albert on. And I was like, who's that guy? And that's who it was. He ended up winning a batting title. I started looking up stats. I don't think there's ever been a guy when a lot of people won back-to-back batting titles, but not on two different teams and in two different leagues. So we could see something pretty special this year. That'd be kind of cool, I think.
Yeah.
Well, Vince, the third story I have is the New York Yankees. Take that, Yankee fans. Now, they're good, but they've had a lot of injuries this year. The judge who carried the team last year was out he had a bad slide in the third base. I think messed up his back a little bit. Bader was out. They had a lot of guys out. Saravino, Stanton always seems to get hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Just a lot of guys on the DL. And I'll tell you what, they've got a young kid at shortstop who's like the next coming of Derek Jeter. His name is Anthony Volpe, but he's only hitting 221 right now. But there's always growing pains, and I know Mike Trout wasn't Mike Trout the first year he came up, but this is nothing to be gloomy about. They're 18-16. It's not that they're really bad, but they are 9 games back because Tampa Bay is so red hot, and but the run differential is only a +4. So, it's early. I'm sure they're going to be there in the end, but there's going to be a lot of competition. You got the division winners, and they're going to have to get hot if they're going to win that division. And then the wild card teams, there's a lot of good teams in the American League. So I don't think it's a guarantee that they're going to get a wild card spot. It's going to be a tough goal, but they probably will get in there. They'll make some moves at the All-Star break like they always do. But this is going to be a fun year to watch this happen because the Yankee fans they'll lose their minds if they don't get in the playoffs this year. So that's my third story.
My fourth story is a guy who I've always thought was a decent player in a great lineup. He wasn't going to carry your team, but he's a decent player in a great lineup. This year, he is carrying the offense of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and that's Max Muncy. In April, he had 11 home runs and an insane 1.152 OPS. Muncy, I've seen him when he came up with Oakland, and then I've seen him, move from part-time player to the full-time player he is now with the Dodgers. And I thought he was a decent player, but I didn't know he was capable of carrying a team for a full month. If Muncy wasn't on this team, they wouldn't have been 16-13 in April. They would have been 12-17 in April. But Muncy, he spent April carrying this team on his back. And if the Dodgers do come back and win this division, take it over, be dominant, they can thank Muncy for the month of April and them not getting buried in the division.
Very good. I like that guy too. He's a terrific player. Well, now I'm going to hit some of the players in the American League that are worth paying attention to. My first one is Rafael Devers from the Boston Red Sox, their third baseman. During the winter, the Red Sox let Xavier Bogaerts go. I thought he was going to be a Red Sox for life. And he went down to San Diego, and I was like, oh, man, San Diego's building this all-star team. Then Devers, I didn't know what they were going to do with him, and thank gosh they signed him for a long contract. The fans were upset when Bogaerts left, but they're glad that Devers there. And I'm telling you what, it's supposed to be a bad year for Boston. You were looking at the experts, us, we looked at the roster and we're like, well, man, this is going to be a last place finish. But right now they're in fourth place because the Yankees are in last. Yay! They're 21-15. And actually, when I wrote this, they were tied for third with the Toronto Blue Jays. And, they would be in first in most other divisions. And they're hitting 255. He's hitting 255. He's got 11 home runs and 34 RBIs, and he leads the league in that. And he's in the seventh season. And to me, he's kind of like Jose Ramirez is to the Guardians. He's that to Boston. He's the leader. He's been there a long time, and I think he's the face of the team myself. That's what I think.
I would say that, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to see him do good. And, Boston is a great organization. I'm tired of them beating our butt in the World Series here lately, but But I'm really pulling for Rafael Devers to continue, have a good year, and see the Red Sox be a contender this year. So
They didn't like what you did to them in '67.
we got to get one every once in a while, Yeah. So that's
I
it on
wanted
me.
I wanted to focus on a rookie, a surprise player, a pitcher, and a closer for the remainders, and that's how I got 8. So the rookie that I thought had a fantastic April is James Outman for the Dodgers. 7 home runs, a 985 OPS. Not quite the Max Muncy thing, but did very well. Um, I'm not sure he can sustain a great rookie season, um, but he's been fun to watch. I've seen him when we were in Los Angeles, and then I saw him again when they came to Chicago, and he had good series in both places. The Dodgers always seem to find these rookies who are major league ready. I remember
Yes.
in the 80s when they had like 34 rookies of the years right in a
Yeah.
row.
Oh,
Um, he looks like he's cut from that cloth, and if he sustains, he should be in the running for Rookie of the Year. And parenthetically, let me just say, Yan Gomes just went deep, so now we're up 5-3.
I have 3. Okay. All right.
Our defensive catcher,
I like John Gomes. I think he's been a solid player wherever he goes.
he's having an all-star type season, and he's a fantastic. We've got good people on the team this year. We're not
Quality,
pulling
good.
out Milton Bradley like we have in years past, or Carlos Zambrano. These are good people, and Yan Gomes is a good leader for the team. But anyway, I digress.
Well, Cleveland Guardians, I just like the way they play. They're young, the youngest team in baseball, and they've got this reliever, Emmanuel Chase. And this guy's in his 4th season. He's 1-2. His ERA is 2.08. That's solid. I mean, 1-2 is not great, but ERA of 2.08, but he's got 11 saves. This guy comes in high pressure situations. The Guardians only have 15 wins. They're 15-18, and he's got 11 of the saves. And since April, he's got some more
Incredible.
saves. Yeah, he's incredible. I love watching this guy play. They got a good bullpen. They're going to be a competitive team against pretty much anybody they play. They just don't have the firepower of some of the other teams. They got some young guys with a lot of enthusiasm, and they give you everything they got. But I really like the way the Guardians play. And he's and like I said, 11 saves out of 15, and this guy's an all-star, a classic right there. So that's my story on him.
Remember those great Cleveland teams in the mid '90s that had so much offense, and the pitching they would look like they had good pitching with like Charles Nagy and Oral Hershiser. They'd win a lot of games, but their ERAs were like 3.5 to 4, Then they'd get in the playoffs and they would lose it. And in '95, I so wanted them to win the World Series against the Braves. I really just wanted Cleveland to get the World Series, and they didn't. And then in 2016, I thought if we lose the World Series, I would rather lose to Cleveland and at least somebody get their monkey off their back. But yeah,
that was the one where Albert Bell was doing the muscle thing in the dugout. Yeah.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's all pitching and defense. There's just not much firepower. I'm excited about my next player because we've brought him up and we're both big fans of him. And this coincides with the Pirates 20-9 start in April. Andrew McCutchen has come, and he's not just provided leadership, but he has been productive. An 877 OPS for a guy who is at the twilight of his career to be a big part of that offense with that start. It's a good story. And if you don't know much about McCutchen, do a little homework on him. He really is one of the good people in baseball. He's always working with charity. Even when he has a bad call against him and he talks to the umpire, it's not a fit. He's just And then he's just genuinely a nice player. And I hate to say that because you don't always know people like you got Kirby Puckett, who had this great reputation.
Oh yeah.
But after he passed away, we found out there was a lot of issues with him. But I'm just really happy that McCutcheon has come in to the team that he came up with, won a lot of games, won an MVP, and he's not the player he was, but he is putting up good numbers to get that team started. Very happy.
And they've been doing that without O'Neal Cruz, who got hurt.
Yeah.
And they had a kid Keller who pitched a complete game shutout, which we don't see very much these days. And it was McCutcheon and another guy that came out and poured water over him during his interview. And he's just really, I think, involved in everything. And those young guys look up to him, and they got something going on, that's for sure, this year. Good for him. Well, my next story is on pitcher Garrett Cole. The Yankees, he started out with the Pirates. And I think he went to Houston, perhaps,
Yeah.
and then he ended up with the Yankees. And usually when some player signs a big contract, it's hard to live up to these big, huge contracts. But Garrett Cole's been everything the Yankees could hope for this year. He's 5-0 with a 1.35 ERA. He's in his 11th season. And I tell you what, they usually send him out there against the other team's ace. He ain't getting no freebies. 46 innings, 52 strikeouts. That's outstanding. Only 14 walks. And 7 quality starts. And in his 11 years, he's only won 20 games one time. It's hard to win 20 games. And he's been around 19 a couple other times. I love watching this guy pitch. I don't know. Sometimes when I'm kind of I like to see the Yankees lose. So sometimes when he does get rocked a few times, it brings a smile to my face. But this guy is, he's as good as anybody in baseball, and he's worth watching. So he's one of the reasons the Yankees are still in it. Garrett Cole's pulled his end of the deal right there.
Yeah, he's kept them afloat, certainly. My starting pitcher that had a tremendous April, probably the best April in the National League, but he has an ERA of about 1.3 since the All-Star break last year, is none other than the guy pitching for the Cubs tonight, Justin Steele. In April, he's 4-0 with a 1.19 ERA. And what is amazing, he's a two-pitch pitcher. He's a left-hander, it's a fastball, and it's a slider. And he doesn't throw hard. He throws in the low. I think he maybe hit 94 with his fastball. But his arm slot is so consistent. Even the right-handers have a hard time seeing the pitches come out of his hand. You see a lot of players. He's not striking out, a ton of people. He strikes out, probably about 7.5 per 9 innings, which is not tremendously high these days. But you see a lot of people, a lot of weak contact, people shaking their heads with these at-bats, because you think with the two-pitch pitcher who doesn't throw extremely hard, you should be able to get your knocks against him. He's very difficult to square up. 2 of the hits that he's given up tonight have been little flares. He just doesn't give up a lot of hard contact. So he's kind of flown under the radar, and people are starting to notice him. Just the other day, I saw the MLB thing. They had the top 10 pitchers, starting pitchers. They had him at number 10. And I'm thinking, hey, number 10? The guy has thrown a sub 1.5 ERA since the All-Star break last year. This guy's pretty good. So that's my starting pitcher.
Oh man, congratulations! I'm glad he's doing good for y'all. I'm surprised we got 3 runs tonight. Because when I thought if we could just get him out of the game, maybe 2-1, be down, and get him out of the game, get in the bullpen, we have a shot. That was my hope for the game. All right, my final player for the American League. He's a player I loved. I was hoping the Cardinals could get him. He came up with the Oakland A's. He's a third baseman, and he's on Toronto now. His name's Matt Chapman. Everybody knows him. This guy, he's having an MVP kind of year. Now, it's just April, 1 month, but that's 1 month down, 5 to go. He's played in 33 games. He's hitting a 352, and I believe that's leading the American League right now. 17 doubles, 5 home runs, 21 RBIs, 17 walks, and 35 strikeouts. He's third in fielding percentage right now with a 974. Usually he's in the top 3 every year. Toronto's a good team. They ought to be there to the end. And if this guy can stay healthy, he'll be a big part of that team. And I know on that team, when you think of the Blue Jays, you think of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, and some of these other players, Springer. But Matt Chapman is as big a part of that team as any of those guys are as well. So Matt Chapman could be the MVP this year if he keeps this up.
My final player is a closer. One of the reasons that the Pirates got off to such a great start in April, David Bednar, finished April with 8 saves and a 0.75 ERA. A lot of people saw him pitch in the World Baseball Classic. And who did he pitch for? I don't remember now.
Pittsburgh, right?
No, I mean in the World Baseball Classic.
For the Americans, the USA.
He did pitch for USA? Okay. All right, yeah. But he's having a great year. And he's actually he was a good closer last year, kind of a kept secret because he's pitching in Pittsburgh. But now he's proven that, he can close for good teams. There are some closers that just do not close for good teams because the pressure is a lot higher because the expectations are higher. And he's showing that he can handle the pressure of closing for a good team. So wanted to throw him a little bit of sunshine and just say, hey, if you catch a Pirates game at the end of the game, check out David Bednar. He's got some nasty stuff, and Pittsburgh seems to have a closer that they're going to have well into the future, or at least another year when they trade him, because that's just what Pittsburgh does.
That is true.
JJ,
any score update? Do you have a score update for us?
We are up 5-2 in the top of the 5th. 2 outs. Arenado's up with a 3-2 count.
Okay, all right.
I have a story.
Oh, please. New UPod 2020. We're updated.
Wait a minute. There's a reason I have this $10 package of baseball.
You got the big one.
I have ordered baseball cards from Amazon, and they wasn't going to come in till later on this week. So, and that's okay. Baseball cards are out. I'll go to Walmart. I went to a few Walmarts, didn't have any baseball cards. There's plenty of basketball, hockey, there's soccer,
Magic.
Every other sport there's plenty of. If we wanted to show Pokemon cards, could have done that, but nothing. So I thought Target, they sell a lot of trading cards and stuff like that. Same thing. No baseball. So shout out to Duke's trading cards in Fenton.
Okay.
I've been there before, and I went over there and I walked in and he said, "Wait, you need something?" I said, "Yes, I have to have a pack of baseball cards." He said, "I don't think I got any," because I said unopened pack. He said, "I don't think I got any." You're kidding. Who is buying up all the big? You're doing it, JJ. You're buying.
Yeah, I got a closet full.
So anyway, he said, "Oh, I've got a top series one of the fat packs. It's got like 30 to 35 cards in it. It's $10." I said, "I'll take it." So I am not going to go through 30 cards. I'm going to take out a third over the next 3 weeks, or maybe, split them up a little bit. But I'm only going to look at a third at a time because we don't need to say, and now number 29. So I'm going to open this.
Ooh, it's exciting.
Yeah, and I am pulling out approximately 1/3 of the stack.
Check the dollar store next time. I think you gotta get a little bit better deal at the dollar store. Sometimes they have them behind the counter back there on the wall.
Like Dollar General or Dollar Tree.
I found them at Dollar General before in there, and they have the smaller packs too.
Really? For those of you who've never seen me do comedy, I used to be known as the Dollar General comic because that was my first set that ever really took off. and I got sick of being the Dollar General comic, so I quit doing the bit for a long time. So
They ought to pay you.
I got some jokes about that. Oh, I'm not. They don't want the kind of publicity I get. These are really pretty cards.
They are. They're beautiful.
And Gallegos.
Oh yeah, there you go. Hit and miss Gallegos.
I will bet I don't have any Hall of Famers. I got Miguel Vargas for the from the Dodgers.
Oh yes. Okay.
Oh, Anthony Santander, Orioles.
Oh yeah, up and comer. That whole team's a bunch of young, good players.
Oh, Paul Sewald of the Mariners, and look at that mouth. Look at that gaping mouth as he sings opera.
Oh yeah.
And pitcher for the Guardians, Nolan Jones. Don't know much about him.
No.
He oh wait, he's not a pitcher. He's a belly itcher. Haha. He had 244 last year in
All right. Not bad for a pitcher.
Yeah. Up and coming player for the Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think he's outstanding. He had a good year a couple of years ago.
Here's a guy who's had a really good career. Yasmani Grandal.
Yes, he has. Been on a lot of teams.
Yeah,
he's a good player.
And for the Rays, Yandy Diaz.
Yeah, okay. I do know who that is.
Next generation, we got Toronto's young superstars celebrating. There they are.
Oh, yeah.
Hugging. Big victory. Awesome.
Some bumping going on.
Yeah. You had him last week, Alec Verdugo.
Oh, yes.
Red Sox.
Very good player. I like him. Came up from the Dodgers organization.
Here's a guy who's known for his hustling, Tyler O'Neill.
He's a hard worker. He's known to be on the DL, our injured reserve. He's always seems to be injured.
And here's one of the pitchers for the Reds, Vladimir Gutierrez.
Okay. Don't know much about him.
Oh, one of the World Series champions, Jordan Alvarez. Yes.
Oh, yes.
And for the Dodgers pitcher, Tony Gonsolin. He's been pretty decent for the Dodgers. So
I think he pitched in the All-Star game last year for the Dodgers, for the National League.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, he did. He was
a lot of wins.
He had the 16-1 record.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So.
Something's going good when you're 16-1. Well, I bought 2 packs of those Big League Baseball 2023. It's a Topps subset or something or another, a little bit different. I opened them last week and I wasn't terribly impressed. You don't get many cards, and I think the regular series is better looking cards than these. So I hope I haven't got everyone out there in TV land all excited about the set. For the Houston Astros, Yuri Gurriel. There he is at first base. That's a good picture. I do like that picture right there. He's been in the league for a while now. You know, I think he's just become like a superstar in the last 3 years or something like that. But he's been in the league for a while. Pitcher for the New York Yankees, the last place New York Yankees. Frankie Montas right there.
Very good.
Very good right there. A guy who's been around a while. Took him a while to become a superstar, but I do believe he is a superstar. There he is with the Dodgers. JD Martinez. And I know he's with the Red Sox for a long time too.
Yeah.
Very good player. Okay. They have these new jerseys, the city jerseys. I know the Wrigleyville. You guys have the Wrigleyville one. Well, they have a card, and here is Mike Yastrzemski in the San Francisco Giant city jerseys right there. But
I like that card.
I do. It's different. Yeah.
Why are the Cardinals doing that? A lot of teams are doing that.
Every year it seems like they pick 5 or 6 new teams to do it with, and I don't think that they've made it to the Cardinals yet. So,
okay.
I've seen the Atlanta Brave ones. I do like the Atlanta Brave one a lot. It goes back to kind of the 70s Braves look, kind of.
what I hope the Cardinals do when they do that is do just the St. Louis Browns uniform. I think that would be so cool.
Oh, that would be cool with the brownie on the sleeve.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be nice. I like that. Here is a White Sox. Boy, there's a team that's struggling this year. A lot of talent, but they just aren't putting it together right now. It's a chrome card. Eloy Jimenez.
Yeah.
Right there, sitting on the bench.
He's
right
injured
there.
again.
Oh man, that guy cannot catch a break.
Yeah.
This guy, I don't know if you heard of him. Plays a young kid that plays for the Angels, Otani.
Future Cubs Shohei Ohtani. Yes.
Oh, you beat me to it. Very good. Very good. Hey, he just passed up Babe Ruth in strikeouts, career strikeouts.
Wow.
Yeah, it was Otani, Ruth, and then someone else I didn't even know pitched any. Sisler from the Browns. You know, it was like 505, 503, and then Sisler had like 100 strikeouts I guess he came in and pitched when the game got out of hand or something like that.
You know,
go ahead.
That would be a good spotlight. Either one of us can do it, but being he played for the Browns, because George Sisler was one of the greatest players of his generation that people don't know who he was because he played for the Browns.
That is true, and he had the most hits in a season until Ichiro passed him.
Yes, he did.
And this guy, if you go through his stats, it's like, whoa, this is one of the all-time great players, and he was. You know what? Next time we feature a player, I'll do if it's okay. I'll do Sisler.
I think that would be interesting.
That'd be fun. Yeah, I mean, when we did Dick Grote, talked about him, I had no clue about his basketball, Duke, and getting drafted by the Pistons. I never knew any of that, so I learned a lot when we do those spotlights.
Oh, let me tell you a story about Mike Shannon.
Please, yes.
He played football at CBC, Christian Brothers College Prep in St. Louis. And I used to work for a guy, and his father went to school at CBC and graduated with Mike Shannon.
Okay.
And he said Mike Shannon was such a good football player. He would be running through the line because he was a running quarterback. He would push linemen off of him. He was so big and strong, and just laugh at them as he ran down the field. He had the football in one hand, knock someone down, just laugh. And I could just see Mike Shannon. So, I meant to bring that up last week and I forgot. So,
well, the coach at Mizzou, Dan Devine, I think, said that he thought he had a shot at winning the Heisman Trophy if he played enough in college. He played one season. If he played like his junior year, he might have won a Heisman Trophy. That's something, just to be in that kind of thought process, how good he was, But what an athlete, what a guy, Mike Shannon. Just love him. Bring on more Mike Shannon stories. Got people out there listening. Send in some Mike Shannon stories if you have them. I just love stories about him. I got two more cards here. Here's another. Again, I'm heavy on the Boston Red Sox, but Kenley Jansen right there.
Oh yeah, he's having a pretty good year too.
Yeah. Is he? I kind of lost him in all the mix there. I haven't really seen much of the Red Sox this year. Although this weekend we're going out to Boston. The Cardinals have a Boston, and then we hit the Brewers. So it'll be tough. And finally, a guy come out of the blocks, had a good career, but he's still in the league. Noah Syndergaard. He had to come out of the game the other day. He had a blister that started bleeding. They had to take him out of the game. But anyway, he's played about 7 years in the league. And I wish him the best. He still has a job. He's still in the big leagues pitching.
Still paying the bills.
Still paying the bills. That's right. Well, that's it for me. That's my cards.
Well, JJ, I've had fun.
It's always a blast.
It's been our first podcast. The Cardinals and the Cubs are in the middle of a series, which is exciting. That's and right. I'm probably going to promote this online, saying, that we get in a big fight and call each other bad names. We're going to meet by the dumpsters and have a fight like we did in junior high or something like that.
Road marker 213. Yeah. Be there.
But it's kind of weird because we're watching the game outside on Kathy's laptop last night. And, she's a Cardinal fan. I'm a Cub fan. So it's a situation to where one of us will get excited and kind of go, "Oh, sorry." So, and when gosh, I think it was like the second inning when we had runners on second and third, and gosh, was it Suzuki or
He's a
I don't
good
remember
player.
who they pitched around, but they pitched around to I think 3-1 count, and Hosmer was coming up next. And I said, oh, they just walked him so Hosmer can round out to a little double play, which is exactly what he did. So
I was thinking of you when that happened because you've been
we
talking about him all year.
we got rid of Jason Hayward, who I watched for so many years, just roll the ball over to second base and easy double plays, easy put outs. We got the very same hitter, except his name is Eric Hosmer. I will say this about um, Hayward. He played Gold Glove defense every inning he was in the field. At least I made up for it. Hosmer's definitely not a Gold Glover anymore. So.
I think Hayward's kind of found. I hate to rub it in, but I think he's kind of rejuvenated himself this year. He's
When
been much better.
I had heard that, but when we played him, he was only hit like 200.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
I see highlights when I see the team he's on. He's usually in the highlights every once in a while. It's usually a defensive play, though. It is a defensive play usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, thank you for joining us. And hopefully the Cubs, either the Cubs continue holding on and we win, or hopefully that the Cardinals pull it out. At least
nice of you.
someone's going to be happy at the end of this game. So, but thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.